And it's been a couple days now since the Titans fell to the Denver Broncos 20-12, but the entire talk of about the Titans is whether or not they should fire Brian Callahan. Welcome into Titans Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper, and there are a lot of people calling him a bozo, calling him for his job. And I don't know if we should be calling for his job just yet after 1 week, but we'll break it all down, and I'll ask you guys right as we get into the show. Do you want Brian Callahan fired? Do you want the Titans to go in and get another head coach? Or do you want to wait until the end of the year where they can actually provide an entire coaching search? Let me know down in the comments section, yes or no. And then let's make note that he almost was fired after last season. They were 3-14. It was a disaster. I will say, even though week 1 was a loss, we didn't get a memeable moment from Cam Ward like we did last week 1 with Will Levis, where his hands were behind his head, throwing up and just making memes all over the place. It was not a good start, and it was a better start, but he was almost fired. And Jeremy Fowler had the story a couple weeks ago before the season started, and this is what he said. He said there was consideration given to completely cleaning house and sending Callahan on his way with Brian Carthon. Multiple Titans sources confirmed Callahan and Carthon had a close relationship, and having the number 1 pick gave Tennessee an opportunity to bring in a new general manager, which they did, Mike Borgonzi, coach and rookie. And we know that the owner, Amy Adams Strunk, her leash is shorter than ever. She saw a couple years ago, back in 2019, where the Titans made the AFC Championship game. She saw 4 years ago where the Titans were the number 1 seed, and then unfortunately lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, but they were a great team. And since then, it has been a disaster, trading away A.J. Brown, letting Derrick Henry walk, and Derrick Henry still looks incredible at the age of 31 years old, which it is crazy. And for Brian Callahan, he's not bringing back any success whatsoever in his first year and first game. And after Sunday, after that Broncos game, you had multiple opportunities to win this ball game, but it really doesn't look good, and I don't know how much longer they're going to keep him on the roster going forward, or keep him on this on this coaching staff moving forward. But let's talk about just what happened and why it's not looking good for Brian Callahan. Cam Ward, he struggled, and let's just not put it lightly, he struggled a lot. And Brian Callahan, well, why did he get the head coaching job? Well, because he's worked with a bunch of great quarterbacks, and he was supposed to be this QB whisperer. He worked with Peyton Manning back when he was in Denver, back when they won the Super Bowl. He was with Joe Burrow back when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. So the Titans saw, hey, this guy knows quarterbacks. This guy can bring in and kind of help Cam Ward. Well, in Cam Ward's first game, he went 12 for 28 and had a 43% completion percentage and 112 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Like Cam Ward, if you go watch the All-22, which Dan Orlovsky talked about it, how it looked really good. I mean, the first play of the game, Cam Ward dropped back, and he looked like he was about to get sacked, and then found Tony Pollard out of nowhere. Don't know how he did it. The team also just did no favors for Cam Ward in the slightest. There was a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of dropped passes for Cam Ward. I think Calvin Ridley had 3 of them, and it was kind of insane to see. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on with Calvin Ridley. He could caught many passes. And then you know about the first kind of drive of the game. It's always scripted. And the first scripted plays, if you look at this chart for the entire week 1 of the NFL, you see all those good play callers in there, like Joe Brady. You see, like, Matt LaFleur. You see Brian Schottenheimer, everybody. But then you look down below at the non-scripted plays and the scripted plays, and Brian Callahan is in the negative. So he wasn't calling good plays, and it wasn't helping Cam Ward at all. You also see New York Giants there, because I kind of think of the 2 quarterbacks that did not throw for over 50%, and that was Russell Wilson and Cam Ward. So wasn't good. Wasn't good on Brian Callahan for the type of play calling and helping Cam Ward out. Cam Ward, I still think he looks solid, and I think he's going to have a bright future. If the Titans do end up making a move, like let's say a wild move, as in they fire Brian Callahan, we'll make a move. We will make a video, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel on our way to 12,000 subscribers. So hit that sub button just in case the Titans make a move. We're going to talk about the rest of the things that went wrong with Brian Callahan's debut on Sunday. But first, I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. The player projections, they are out for week 2. And after what I saw last week, I think Cam Ward will still be less than 200.5 passing yards. But Tony Pollard, they will score a touchdown this week. Give me the more for Tony Pollard. And a max discount. Travis Kelce, more, only needs 1 receiving yard. You can make a lineup just like that one when you download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, the next one that we'll talk about is just that Brian Callahan had just awful, and I mean awful, bad game management. There were multiple times during this game where the Titans could have taken over and really just cemented their spot winning this ball game. And this comes from Nick Wright. If you guys don't know who Nick Wright is, he's one of the lead guys at Fox Sports 1. He said what Brian Callahan did at the end of the half from a game management standpoint was as bad as anything Will Levis did last year. So bad. And if you guys don't know what he's talking about, well, they got the ball back with at the 7-yard line with 47 seconds left in the half. And then they decided to pass the ball. And then they decided to pass the ball again. And then J.C. Latham got beat, and Ward was sacked just outside of the end zone. Honestly, I don't know how it wasn't a safety. It should have been the safety. And then 8 seconds came off the clock. How do you have 8 seconds coming off the clock when you know that the Broncos are going to get the ball back now and have good field position because you're punting from your end zone? And then, of course, the Broncos later scored on that drive, giving them all the momentum going into the half. Now, you can thank Jamiri DK on this because he got 70-yard kick return after that field goal, and the Broncos later got another field goal to go up 9-6 into the half. But still, very, very, very poor clock management, poor game management. And also, there were a ton of penalties on the field. 131 penalty yards for the Tennessee Titans. I think there was 13 on the play, and your offense, you saw Cam Ward only had 112 yards throwing, and Tony Pollard barely had any. You had 135 yards of offense and 131 yards of penalties at this point. This team, that just shows that they're very, very, very undisciplined. And at this point, there's no excuses because you have a lot of veterans on this team. When you look at the offensive line, Kevin Zeitler's a veteran. Lloyd Cushenberry's a veteran. J.C. Latham's going into his 2nd year. It is a major problem, and it starts with your head coach. It starts with Brian Callahan making sure your team is disciplined enough to not commit penalties. It is a number one thing. But the biggest problem that happened on Sunday, and we talked about it a little bit, but still, not knowing the rules of football when you're supposed to be an offensive-minded head coach. And what am I talking about here? Well, it was 1st and 20, and the Titans had a great chance to kind of even, once again, take over this ball game. And what happened? Well, it was ruled an incomplete pass to Elike Manor for a first down, 25-yard game. Well, if you saw the replay, and everybody did, that his elbow came down. Well, we saw that Brian Callahan didn't challenge. And why didn't he challenge? Well, because he said you needed a foot in bounds. Well, you could see by this tweet from Paul Kaharski that you don't need a foot in bounds. Your elbow counts as 2 feet. And then Brian Callahan just flat out said he misinterpreted the rules. So what the hell is going on here? And then he started to get a little pissed off at Paul Kaharski. I saw one tweet where it says, yeah, this is week 1, and Brian Callahan seems like he's already trying to tell people, let's take it outside. And then the next day, he spoke about it again, and this is what he said. He said, at the end of the game, I was worried about a lot of things that went wrong in this game, and in the heat of the moment and in frustration of it after the game, I misspoke. I'm well aware of this rule. I understand how it works. The way I articulated it afterwards was incorrect, and I understand the rules of this game very well. Well, Brian Callahan, I'm going to call cap on that. Because if you knew the rules and everybody in the entire building was questioning why the hell you didn't challenge it, if you knew the rules, you would have challenged that play. You got people up in the booth, up top. They would have known. Hey, they would have called you down right now. Challenge that play, challenge that play, challenge that play. He said, nah, you need a foot in. You need a foot in. He didn't know the rules. He's just flat out lying. And you could see right here on this picture that, yeah, that's clearly a catch. His elbow is in bounds. Like, what the hell are we doing? Brian Callahan, you're supposed to be the head coach. You're supposed to know the rules. And what does that say about your entire team? It's really, 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 really bad. And the players were asked, somebody asked him what the players should think. And then Brian Callahan said, well, I'll be accountable and the players should know the rules just as much as I know the rules. Well, you don't know the rules, Mr. Callahan. And to be honest, I think that might be a fireable offense on its own. You could see clearly right there. That is 100% a catch, man. And Alligator Manor, I think he's going to be a star in this league and make catches like that. You just have to challenge. I just don't understand how you're the head coach and you don't know the rules. Every other head coach would know that specifically, especially good players. You saw last night in the Bears game, Ben Johnson made a clear-cut mistake, and KOC, Kevin O'Connell, was like, yes, he didn't kick it out of bounds. We get the 2-minute warning now because he knew the rules. Brian Callahan, good coaches know the rules. I think it's a 50% chance, though, he gets fired. I'm giving it a 50 right now. I don't know if he's going to be the first head coach fired. I think Mike McDaniel of the Miami Dolphins has a big chance of getting fired because, yeah, that's a bad, bad, bad team, and I think that I think their season might be over. We'll find out after week 2. But here are the odds from BetOnline of just next head coach to be fired. And you see right there, Brian Callahan at plus 1,000. Dave Canales, I don't know about that one. Or Kevin Stefanski. Can you really blame Kevin Stefanski for how much of a dumpster fire the Cleveland Browns are? But Brian Dable also at plus 650. Callahan plus 1,000. I'd take that in a heartbeat. What's the percentage you think Callahan gets fired this season? 1 to 100%. I give it about a 50% right now. If you lose to the Rams on Sunday, it's going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up to 65. And then if you start probably 2-6, I keep saying 2-6 after 8 games, they're going to get rid of you. So go down in the comments right now. And if the Titans do make a move at coach or at a player, if they make a signing, we got you covered. So hit that sub button. And as always, tighten up.